Oh well. It's going to be that kind of stream, huh? Okay. Hello, welcome to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. I'm your community manager, Cordovan, and I'm going to be hanging out in-game for the next couple of hours, probably something like 3 hours. Going to be spending about 15 minutes per game world, just in a public area, hanging out, doing some drops, maybe do a little bit of monster spawning. And overall, just celebrate the 17th anniversary of Lord of the Rings Online with you here on Twitch today. So welcome and happy anniversary. Technically, it's next week, but I do the show on Fridays, and this seemed to be the show that made the most sense to do it. In the near future, I'm going to do another stream showing off some of the delvings with Corsairs of Umbar. And then also, I've got a raid stream planned for the next couple of weeks as well. So we'll be heading into the depths of Makta Corbo right here on the Court of the Ring show. It's every Friday, noon Eastern, on twitch.tv/LotroStream. In terms of news today, the main thing I'd mention is we had a Bullroarer this week. It was an early look at Update 40, did not include really any of the content in terms of, quests, things like that, but really focused on some PvMP work that's being done, some updates being done to dual mode delvings, mostly game performance wise, and then in general, we wanted to have a Bullroarer to check out few things that we're doing game performance related, having to do with putting Minas Tirith and the Etten kind of in a different part of the infrastructure, right? So like the idea is to sort of set them aside so that the performance of those areas doesn't potentially impact the performance of areas that might be sharing technological space with. Kind of deep in the weeds engineering stuff, but we wanted to try that out on Bullroarer and see how it worked before we brought something like that to live. And so we did that test this week, and everything seemed to go pretty well last night. We had a good time. We tried to stress out the performance of the PvMP pit a little bit from like say 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern last night. I was there spawning some monsters, and we had a bunch of people. We had one person in particular that was just doing like a ton of multi-boxing and things, but that's all fine. That was kind of the point of it. So we had a pretty good time last night. At one point we had flipped to keep with Orion still in as his spider, and that was pretty fun. We all got to beat up Orion a little bit. So that was a good time, but that's really the main bit of news that I can think of this week, other than the anniversary itself, which kicked off yesterday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And that runs until 3 a.m. Eastern on May 6th. So through May 5th, and you can find out more about the anniversary on Lotra.com. We've got an article up showing not just the dates and times, a little bit of information about the login gifts and the new rewards that are with the anniversary event that's in-game through May 5th. So, yeah, 17 years. 17 years. That's... I really like that in some ways both of Standing Stone games are an exploration of kind of how long can you do something like this, right? I mean, as long as people are enjoying it and having a good time, and you're able to make everything work, you can last a long time. And that's something, as an older gamer who grew up in the 90s where it was more of a, I don't know, almost like an album release in some ways, where games would come out and they'd have a few months and then they would pretty much be gone. And you haven't had that for really 20 some years, well, maybe 20 years now. But it is interesting to see, well, I guess EverQuest just celebrated 25. So 25 years or so, we've been under this experiment of, you don't have to be like the biggest video game on the store shelf to be able to keep things going for a long time. And I really love what we're able to do with you because of this in the community. It's the fact that you're here, which is why this is possible, and it's pretty awesome. In terms of sales, we got double bonus points going on. The other thing I'd mention is that we're giving away a pig in a blanket housing decoration. We want to do something a little special for this week's free weekly coupons, so we pulled from the community loot list, and we're giving away one of the housing item pig in a blanket housing decorations, and the coupon code for that is Cozy Pig, and that's available through April 25th. So when I was delivering it, say for Extra Life and that, it does deliver just a singular one. So even if you have one, you would still might want to use this coupon code for Cozy Pig. And before I head in game just a little bit, I wanted to take a look at the upcoming schedule to see if there's something that I need to do. Also, it sounds like we might be getting a visit from a certain Kidius Maximus. Lizzie is like, why are you not taking me out in the sun? It's a nice day outside. What are you doing talking to that stick on your computer screen? All right. We do have a VIP event boost happening starting, it looks like, on Monday. And then next week, I should mention as well, at noon Eastern next Thursday, the Depths of Makta Corbo will be going to Tier 5. So, all you people waiting on Tier 5, how's it been going for you? Have you beaten Tier 3? I haven't, clearly, but there you go. But that's next week, so that should be pretty cool. I'm not sure what our next Bullroarer plan is exactly. Might be a little bit before we see another Bullroarer, but we do have the one that's happening right now for just a couple more hours. All right, before I go in-game, let me... Well, there was a bunch of people here, and now I'm not seeing anyone. Not quite sure what the deal is. Let me, real quick... Gonna have to adjust my camera, I think, here. Oh, no, it's okay. It's alright. So I was actually on, there's a event happening on Laurelin that was on the forums. And there was a bunch of people here. But I'm not really seeing people here now. I don't know if they just showed up for like a screenshot or what the deal was. I'm currently cloaked on my admin at this person's house. Just kind of see what's up. I do see a few people here. But a little bit earlier there was a crowd that was here. I don't know if they were just created for a screenshot or what the deal is, but that was pretty neat. So you can find out more information about this. This is happening on the forums today. I don't think there's really a whole lot happening right now, but, you know, is what it is. And you can find out more information about that in the Lotra forums. All right, I'm going to real quick go back to my main camera, and then I'll switch servers and we'll start going through the regular game worlds. I'm going to go alphabetical through the game worlds. I'll try to be generally in a public place. I hope I don't destroy the game worlds. I hope things go okay. They usually go okay-ish. Do I cause problems? I mean, define problem, right? So there was something on the forums about a festival, like someone trying to organize their first off event on Laurelin on the forums, and so I popped by there real quick just to see what was going on. There was a crowd of people over by the stage, but then I started talking, so maybe they wrapped up in the last 10, 15 or moved somewhere else or what have you. Not quite sure. Either way, let me pop on over to, this will be Arkenstone first. I'm going to try to go alphabetical, and as long as I'm not causing problems by doing so, that's probably what I'll end up doing. Yeah, so I haven't decided exactly. I'm gonna. So the way this works is, it works for a while, and then eventually enough people show up that it tends to cause some problems, at which point I need to either move to a different land block or move to a different server. So I try to be a little coy about where I'm going to be, but typically Bree is like outside of West Bree, outside of the West Bree gates. I have found it's a pretty place to get to. Is actually not super disruptive because people can get around and through if they need to. And so roughly, let's just say outside of the West Bree gates is my default. It's going to kind of depend where I actually log in and and such. But no, I'm not doing 12 hours plus. I have sort of moved away from doing exceptionally long live streams. I don't really think it's very, for me, I don't think it's very great content. I don't really enjoy doing it. And I don't think that it's worth all the stress to your body and that to be on the air like this for 12 hours or something. So I'm not saying I will never do a 12-hour live stream again, but this is going to be a couple hours. This will be probably in the range of 3.5. I have to be done by 4 because I got the other games live stream at 4. But other than that, that's about the extent of it. Yeah, looks like we got a pretty active group of fireworkians over on Arkenstone here. Let me switch to the gameplay. That. I want to try to not have like my commands and things going live over the air. But wow, that's some cool stuff. Currently I was over by the fireworks place when last I logged in. But I'm not going to bother the fireworks people because they got things to do. So this tends to be, like I say, over kind of the hills around here seems to be a pretty decent enough place to... Because, like, I'm disruptive, but not so disruptive that you can't deal with it for the most part. So it seems to be about as good a place as any. Yes, I am speedrunning. I'm using dev hacks. This is on a developer character. All the items I'll be dropping have been pre-approved to distribute for events like this. They tend to be things from the community loot list. And I do have a couple of additions this year, which is kind of fun. So let me... like, I've got some of the new fireworks that I can do and what have you. I can also increase, or, you know, basically make me... I guess I should probably do that just to be safe. I'm entering in a command right now to basically make it so that I can't die. I can also adjust my DPS and things if I need to. But let's start with getting some of these new Green Dragon in and Victory Gear fireworks. There. And I'm just sort of spawning a bunch of fireworks for the area. Happy little fireworks. Do some of the gear ones as well. Is it gear or year? G-Y-R-E? I think it's just supposed to be year, right? Some kind of fancy lad way of saying year. Alright. How many people we got on at the moment? Tire, so it could be like Geyer. Geyer. Sarah Bella says, are we able to subscribe for a year? You can right now, yes. That's available that's one of the subscription links we have on offer in the Lotra store. If I need to, I can call attention to myself and get some people in here, but I have tended to find that it doesn't become necessary. Once I start kind of doing my thing, people will find me, word will start to spread, and so it becomes less of a need to sort of say, yo, I'm here. But I can do that, and maybe to get started here I will do that, so... There we go. There's a little world broadcast. That'll get folks in. This is on Arkenstone. I'm starting with Arkenstone. Alright, so before I get too far along, there's a particularly bizarre thing that I'm doing anyway, even though it's a little weird. So, one of the items that I can now drop for these kind of anniversary events, and it'll be potentially like an extra life thing in that as well, because it's being added to the community loot list, is a certain Samwise Gamgee housing property yard. See that loyal attendant? So you can pick him up and do that. But the weird bit is, and the reason I'm bringing this up, is the weird bit is, it's a weird floaty Samwise that shows up in game every time I spawn it. And I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. Oh, let's see, I think I might have already caused problems on the server. Okay, so maybe I won't be doing any global broadcasts. Wow. Okay, well, that definitely brought in the people, though. Let me turn off the names, just for sanity's sake, and let's have a little fun here. So let me do a bunch more of those fireworks. And let me do some of the green dragon and fireworks. There we go. Alright. Gonna be dropping, let's see, a couple of things I can drop. I just dropped some of the Samwise stuff. How about do the anniversary celebration piggy. So one of the things I get asked a lot is whether or not people can let me adopt them on the live game worlds. And I think it's neat that we allow for that kind of thing, but the answer is kind of no. Like, I generally don't know people enough that I would want to have that associated with my characters on that, and so I always appreciate the effort when people are like, hey, can you adopt me? But the answer is kind of no. But I've had that probably a couple of times just today even. So I have basically a list of things that I can spawn, and I've just been doing some of the corgis, things like that. Let me get some more of that Samwise attendant out there. That seemed pretty popular. For obvious reasons, which is that even when we gave it away last summer for the first time as part of a... yeah, here you can see all the Samwises. See how they're all just kind of standing around? It's a little weird. It's a little weird to have like 20 Samwises kind of standing around, I'm not gonna lie. That said, it's either that or you don't get the free gift on these world visits, and I feel like people would rather have the thing and be okay with just a bunch of Samwises standing around. I agree. I think it is Balrog time. But before I do that, let me do something a little easier first, just to warm up the crowd so that they're a little more prepared. I have also figured out how to increase the level of some of these mobs that I'm spawning. Not this one, because I'm starting light.
After it, after them. After it, after them.
That's a nice crowd of people, though. Say I'm turning off names just so you can see things. Alright, so how about we bring out something a little bit tougher then.
After it, after them. So I'm bringing out, let's see, where is he? There we go, War Tyrant. This is one of the... I asked Ryan and Hyper, I was like, can you get me a couple of new mobs that I can spawn for these events? Because I've been kind of spawning the same things for about a decade, right? Clearly this is not the most performant combat in the world. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That's a lot. And that's why they die fairly quickly. Alright, now that they know, let me call up... I need to actually call up a page to spawn what I want to. Give me a quick second here. There we go. So now let's take care of that Balrog. And we will make it level 150. So it's got 28 million morale. But even so, this many players,
Just gonna tear through the thing. But it's lasting more than a few seconds. It's also, not the most performant game experience in the world, but that's just sort of how it rolls here if we're saying, yo, everyone. Boom. We'll get the other ball around now, too. Wow, it looks like I took out a bunch of them, huh? A bunch of players didn't survive that one. Did I wipe Argo? Or not Argo, but Arkenstone? Sorry, did I wipe Arkenstone? I think I might have. Alright, well, I can always smite them. Or maybe I just killed the server. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess maybe I'll drop some stuff then and pretend that never happened. I bet Tiber's regretting giving me the command to make mobs more difficult now. I may have to watch out for that. If I can take out Arkenstone, I can take out any group. Just saying. Yeah, folks on Evernight ain't gonna know what hit you. Actually, I probably need to be careful with that. I'm not sure that that was the smartest spawn in the world. I don't actually want to tank a game. That would suck. But it looks like everything's back to basically normal. Probably some server tech out there is like, I sense a disturbance in the force. What? 100 servers screaming in pain. Yeah. Alright, so the one thing it also, though, is that 15 minutes tends to go by fairly quickly. And I could just stay longer, but we have 11 worlds to hit. And so 15 minutes times 11 plus transition time and a few stretch breaks and stuff is going to put us pretty close to like 3.5 hours, I think. Can I spawn it? I don't think I've got a dragon to spawn. Unfortunately, our dragons tend to be kind of special scripted enough that you don't have a good dragon to spawn. Alright, well, I think I've done pretty good in terms of distributing some items. Can do a couple of musical instruments here. Got a bassoon that I can create. And a couple of fiddles. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Bad copy paste. Let me do that again. There we are. All right, let me swap to the next world here then. And take a look at chat. So I will be visiting Crickhollow, but I've got a certain Beligair to get to first because I'm going alphabetical. At least that's the plan. My plan is to visit all the servers for about 15 minutes, so not a lot of time, but it'll be fun. It'll be cool. At least that's the idea. $150 Sarah Oakharts, huh? Open my Hobbit gifts. Well, see, that's the thing is when I'm on an admin character, it doesn't really matter because it's not really a play character. Like I could just spawn, create any items I need to, but it's on an admin, so it's not the kind of thing that I'm going to be really utilizing in the live game worlds outside of a specific work purpose. Like all my play characters can't be made invulnerable and stuff. It's only these admin characters that I can really do that with. Okay, yes, Beligair is before Brandywine. So, Beligair, you're next. So, you're right, Subu to you, there's about 300 people stuck in a different layer. So, I can't stop everything in regard to how these public events work. As you saw, I kind of tanked that instance, and there was a whole bunch of people who wanted to get in. That's part of why, like, sometimes afterwards, people will be like, oh, I just didn't even get the chance to see it. I would have been there if you had let me know when you were going to be there. But the reality is the more I let people know where I am, the worse the experience is. So there's this fine line between just sort of showing up and having a little bit of fun and bailing out before that instance truly gets kind of overloaded and people are trying to switch layers to get to it and things like that. So it's an unfortunate reality, but it's also somewhat deliberate. It's just what I've discovered over the years really is kind of how it has to work. And so that's what what I'm doing. Oh, and I already got some people out here in Belliger. They're planning ahead, which is nice of them. Memos getting passed around, as it were. Let me swap back in game. I'm now on Belliger. So I apologize for anyone who would be excited to be a part of this and can't make it because they were in the wrong layer, or they missed the chance, or they were in the middle of a raid, or they were asleep because where they're located around the world, you know, etc., etc. And hopefully if I do these enough, eventually you'll be able to hang out and be a part of one. That's the idea, anyway. Alright, I am going to... I typically like to start with a bunch of fireworks here. That way people have something to kind of do while they're waiting around. At the very least, these are new consumable fireworks that I was given the information to be able to spawn for this year. For our 17th anniversary, we'll kind of hang out here. I think they turned out pretty good. That we have a GIF on our website article about the 17th anniversary, and I thought it turned out pretty good. It's kind of nice to be able to incorporate GIFs more into our articles, perhaps in the future. There were some old limitations that made it a little weird to try to incorporate GIFs in the past. GIF, whatever it is. I say GIF. And if I'm wrong, I don't care. It's like, on the one hand, maybe it should have just been a little bag instead of an actual Samwise. It's a little weird to have a bunch of Samwises there. I do have some opportunity to answer questions from chat as well. This is really just going to be kind of a hangout stream. I'll be doing this. This is what it takes to actually run this kind of event in the game world. You know, I am behind the keyboard, a copying and a pasting away. Are there permanent versions of the fireworks available to barter? I would have to look on our page here quick for it. I think they're consumable only this year, right? No, because you've got the 17th anniversary login reward. So the 17-year gift box has got the permanence of it. And then the consumables are with the Keeper of Gifts, Steel Token Barter, and Monster Player, Keeper of Gifts, Steel Token Barter. I had someone ask last night whether a certain cosmetic was new or not, and I had to think, and I was like, I would need to do a Google search. And they were kind of taken aback. They were like, you don't know whether everything cosmetic is there? And it's like, well, I try. I know a lot, but the issue you run into after 13 years of doing this is there's so many cosmetics that we've released over the years that sometimes it's like, is it just really old and I've forgotten about it, or is it brand new? In this case, it turned out to be really old and I had just forgotten about it. I did a quick Google search, and turns out it was an older item from around 2014 or so. But that's a good example as well, because that's just kind of like, oh, okay, well. It's new looking to me. But we do also, part of that is we're doing some teaserifying related to an upcoming cosmetic outfit that people have already noticed thanks to sort of the data mining and things that goes on Bullroarer, and I've seen it referenced that I'm not going to give the name of it here because I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. But very soon, we will be seeing a new thing that people may have already seen as of, what, Wednesday afternoon on Bullroarer. Any mega plans for the 20-year mark for SSG? It's too early to really know what we'll be doing for our 20th anniversary, but I would expect that once we hit 20, that would be a pretty big year for us in terms of celebration. You know, 20 years is something you really want to make a big deal about. So I don't know what we'll do. We're going to have a party. We're going to organize a backyard barbecue for every player's house. We're just going to go on tour and we're going to visit everybody's house. And we'll have a backyard barbecue with, I don't know, a yard magician in a bounce house. That's what we'll do for 20 years. I mean, it sounds logistically difficult, but yeah, I think what we would see for our 20th anniversary is similar to what we saw from the 15th, which, you know, 15 was also something we took pretty serious, but even more so, you know, the 10th was another one that we did stuff with. Had some pretty fun times for that 10th anniversary. Any chance of getting a snapshot of your character at certain levels and equipment so you could have a Moria snapshot and Angmar one? That would be a really nice quality of life feature, but I think logistically there are probably some challenges with doing that sort of thing. Alright, they've been getting free gifts for a while. Time to punish them. Let's bring out some of these new mobs. We'll bring in, this is the other boss that I've got new this year to spawn. And that's this guy. Girgoth the Unbound. Alright, they did it. That worked out okay. Let me give, I can't clap yet. Here we go, clap. Let's try a different one. Bring out that War Tyrant. More corgis. Okay. Well, I will put that on the to-do list there, Grolmoro. Alright. Now we'll bring out the Balrog. See how we do. Taking him down. Alright, we'll try Thurlock then. See how that goes. Wow. I didn't even take anything at all. Alright, let's try that again. I guess they came prepared. Look at that. Just chewing through that morale. Boom. Well. Alright. The very trees are attacking us. Trees seem to be doing pretty good. X4711, please do just submit a ticket on that. Folks who are paying attention to such things will be able to kind of alert us if we have a wider problem or something specific with your delivery. It's true, so the way the gifts work is it's based on the prior gift received. So, if you picked up the 16th year gift box last year, then you, as long as you log in between now and, I believe it's something like 3 a.m. April 1st, 2025, so basically a year, then you will increment to the 17th year gift box when you log in for the first time. Same with if you are year 8. You won't get year 17, you'll get year 9. And that's how the anniversary gift box delivery has worked since about 2015 or so. It used to be that there was, it was based on, like, the year of your subscription starting, but that ended up having its own set of problems as well. So while it does mean that if you miss a year, you're a little behind on the curve, it also has historically tended to be the best way to really get it done. On balance, it causes the least amount of kind of hassles and issues and calls to customer support and what have you. Alright, I have got requests to drop more corgis, so let me corgi them up. In case you wonder what I'm actually typing here, I'm going W to move forward. enter to call up the chat, up arrow to call up the most recent command, and then enter to execute the command. So you do this over the years, and you just go, like, W enter, up enter, W enter, up enter, and you just kind of get used to doing it. The reason I hit W is to just so it's not all spawning on top of each other. It gives just a little bit of space. Sometimes I'm hitting D as well, just to keep myself turned in the area. Community manager secrets revealed. How does he spawn things? With my fingers. I need at least 3 of them. Let me drop some more of the Samwise portrait frames and housing guards, because I have a feeling that's pretty popular. I would think people would want that. Because we only had that for, what, like a week or a couple weeks in July. And not everyone got Samwise. And then I have to head out to the next server here in just a little bit. Okay. All right. Let me move on to the next game world here. That went okay. I didn't break Beligar. I didn't even come close. Yes, the Samwise frames are also going on the loot list. I dropped some of the Samwise frames on Arkenstone, I think. Pretty sure. It'll be from whatever that same promo was, right? So yeah, I think that's the potato frame, isn't it? I'll have to see about being able to spawn Sarah Oakheart. I'm not quite sure whether that's even possible. My guess is because of the way Sarah Oakheart is sort of scripted to do weird things, it wouldn't really function to just sort of spawn it. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a dev. I'll have someone like content creation dev would know a lot more about that than I would. Alright, so Brandywine, you're next. No jetpacks, sadly. I cannot spawn jetpacks in the live game worlds. That could be a problem. But I do have new stuff this year, so that's cool. Oops. I accidentally pinned a message. There we go. Alright, while I actually switch worlds here real quick, I need to go AFK for just a minute. I'll be back in just a minute. Let me put back on the coming soon screen with the proper transition. So I'll be back in, let's just say, like 3 minutes. Alright, let's get a Lizzie visit. Hello. I woke her up from her nap. Be like, I was napping. I was napping. Yep. She herself is like, what, about 16 or so? So she's about as old as Lotro. She's like, oh man, you're supposed to take me outside, and then I sat down to take a nap, and then you grabbed me. This is how I feel about that. Alright, where am I? I'm actually over in the party tree. Let me pop on over to West Bree on Brandywine, and I will bring it on camera here in just a second. Welcome everyone who's just joining me. We're celebrating 17 years of The Lord of the Rings Online on twitch.tv/LotroStream. For the next couple of hours, I'm heading through the various game worlds. I'm currently heading to Brandywine, and we're going to try to hit them all. I have another live stream I need to do at 4 o'clock, and that's for the other game. And if I don't get through all 11 worlds by that time, then I'll just go and pick up afterwards or something like that. And this is just what I'm going to do today. And Brandywine's ready for me. This seems like a pretty good chill place to do this. So let me swap back to the game world, of which you can hear said fireworks right now. We are not doing a Lotro market sale for this anniversary. We looked into that. We did do one last year. So, yeah, we looked into how often we'd done the Lotro market sales for the anniversary, and the answer is not consistently, but we did do one last year. But we're not going to do one this year, and it's really just kind of some internal business related reasons. I don't know if I should really get into it. So we had an employee who had been with us for quite some time, who had an opportunity to work on her favorite game, which in her case, you know, she loves Lotro, but there was another game that was super important to her, and so she went to work on that other game. And so we are currently, frankly, like this week, down a person who actually deals with things like weekly coupons and sales. So it's SSG Branding and myself largely picking up the slack until the new person in that position is on board and all that sort of thing. So because of that is really as much a reason as any as why we're not doing a special market sale this week, and that is that the internal knowledge to manage and successfully deploy that kind of market sale is not exactly here at the moment. They will be here soon. But it was like, well, do we want to trust me to do it? Is the answer. I could. If we really needed to, I could step in and make that happen, but instead we'll have plenty of future sales for the market with when the people who are best equipped to do that work are around. So at the moment, if the weekly coupons don't work like next week, that's my fault. If theoretically there was an issue with it this week, that also would have been my fault. Thankfully, it seemed to work out okay. But we are doing a couple of, how do I want to describe it? We're doing a couple of kind of one-off weekly coupons, both this week and next. You know, we deliberately did the Sleeping Pig decoration, and we're doing something a little different next week as well. It'll be our first coupon that will actually deliver 2 items. And there's a little bit of tech going on there that we were able to sort of make that possible these days. And so we're just checking it out to ensure that it will in fact work. And as of this week it did. So next week we can give out 2 of a little thing. And we do have double bonus points happening through April 28th as well. So that's probably our biggest, best discount. Now, there are people in the community who tend to be aware of the fact that when we release expansions, we often put that into the Locher store, about 6 months or so later for points. And we have stated that Corsairs of Umbar will be released for points in May. And so we are doing double bonus points today through April 28th. So if you are interested in purchasing Corsairs of Umbar for points, purchasing those points now will get you double bonus points, which means it'll go a little bit further. Not trying to tell you what to do, but I am saying, might be something to think about if you're intending to pick up some points to purchase Corsairs of Umbar when it releases here in May, which is only a few weeks away. Alright, let me spawn a few other mobs here. Let's see, level 150. Go. Got some of Lila.
After them!
It's true, I am stomping on the Tolkien Professor's time slot today, because I understand the Tolkien Professor is not, in fact, available today. Can I drop some more Samwises later? Sure.
After them!
No, Druid's Fire, if for some reason, I mean, if I don't make it through all 11 game worlds, I'll stream it whenever you're done. From your stream or whatever, because I'm going to want to get some dinner and take the kitty outside and do things like that after the 4 o'clock live stream anyway. So if I don't get to it now, I'll get to it in the evening, or I'll even just kick it to Saturday or Sunday. Alright, well, let's bring out a couple of the bigger guns here. So we will start with Durin's Bane and see how Brandywine's prepared. $28 million morale seems to be surprisingly decent as a overall number for large community events. Big enough that it takes a while to get kill and people can contribute, not so big that it can never be defeated on a typical crowd size like this. So the Balrog is not really the most performant choice to make in terms of game performance for live monster spawning, because it does have particle effects and special attacks, and it's big, and what have you. But it's also really cool. And so being able to attack it in a live event like this is just fun. It's the right monster, even if it is a little slideshowy. So weirdly, when I put Foul Rock at level 150, his morale stays pretty low, because that's only 5 million morale, as opposed to 28. So there must be something going on with the way that, in the instance, this creature is spawned, that making it level 150 isn't really increasing its health. So if you collect one of the things that I am putting down in the game world, it'll just be in your inventory. So I suppose maybe there's something that I dropped that was auto grant or something, but I don't think so. It should just appear as an inventory item. Like, I suppose if I were to do a mount or festival skill, even that would show up. Yeah, I'm not sure. Had a request for more of the frame here as well. Alright. Well, let's see. Who else should I... How about if I... spawn this person? See, the smaller NPCs, the advantage of a Balrog at a large event like this is you can kind of see it better, because it's over the height of the mobs of the... enemies, so like giant mobs tend to work a little better, I think. So if I try to... I'm going to have to go away to see if I can do this real quick. So if I spawn Duran's Mane and then run a certain command, I might be able to make it shrink. Let's try this. Alright, let me get ready for my next copy-paste quick before everyone starts attacking it. Nope, the answer is I cannot shrink the Balrog. I was seeing if I could make the Balrog itsy bitsy tiny, but the answer is no. So Hrumel is one of those I get a lot of requests for, to be able to spawn in the live game worlds, but there's some specific issues with the way that that creature is created. It's created for the space that it's in a way that makes it somewhat difficult to... Oh no, the Balrog's attacking the walls. For the purposes of scaling, I think I could, in theory, spawn... Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know what would happen if I said, rather than being level 150, be 160. I think that that would actually make it essentially whatever the default is for its health. So I don't think it would really do anything positive. Alright. Well, I am running low on time here, but I've got, I suppose, another few drops. How about... some of the cloaks. I don't think I've done the Cloak of the Misty Night. It would be fun to be able to clone enough of myself to really have a couple hours per game world, and then do that per game world for a couple hours for different time zones so that I could properly capture US, Europe, Asia, etc. But really, you would be looking at probably me giving up a couple of weeks, really, to an effort like that. And that would just be sitting there all day doing this, and I just don't have really the time or energy for it. So even though these kind of events can be as really fun if you can be a part of it, maybe a little frustrating if you can't. It is just sort of, I think, over the years what's worked out the best. So, every time I try to type in the command /create, it brings up an issue with my fingers, which is that probably 3 times out of 10, instead of typing C-R-E-A-T-E, I start typing C-R-A rather than the E. And it reminds me that we actually do not have the correct keyboard. This is something I don't feel that strongly about. But I would also be willing to change. I think we should move away from QWERTY. I don't think QWERTY is the right... I mean, I know we've been doing it since, what, the 70s-ish, right? 70s was about when QWERTY came around? Or was it even before that? 50s or something. Anyway, the main point is... it's actually not really set up for the way people tend to type in English. At the very least. And I think we should do something about it. I know there's all sorts of other kind of keyboard layouts that you can try, but, you know, I'm a creature of habit just like everyone else is. And so I really need everyone else to change so that I can change too. So I guess what I'm saying. So it is true that I'm going to a place with multiple layers can be created rather than a non-layered area, but part of the reason for that is that if you actually try to put too many people in a non-layered area, I could essentially crash the game. So. And this place just seems convenient. But if not... Alright. Like, where would be a good non-layered game area I could try out? I could try that out. How can you apply to work for the Lord of the Rings Online? Most of our job postings go through Daybreak Games, our publisher's website. So, daybreakgames.com/careers is where all of our jobs are posted. And we do have a few positions open, as I understand. At least one is marked up. So, take a look. And if not now, maybe in the future. All right, I think we are now on Crickhollow. Yeah, the OG layout was made in order to avoid a typewriter getting stuck. I knew that, actually. Somewhere in my brain I had heard that, but... QWERTY goes all the way back to the 1870s. Okay. I mean, all the dudes still had long mustaches, whether it's 18 or 1970s, but the music was a little groovier. Alright. Yep, I'm going alphabetically, and looks like we're up to Crickhollow. And real quick, while I'm loading in, let me check out chat real quick. See if there's anything I need to pay attention to. All right. It's like I actually have some work to do today. That's sort of how it rolls. Okay. Oh, I'm all the way on Mossward here. Let me move over, and then I will switch cameras. The other advantage of where I tend to be located is it's pretty easy for people to get to and find and get used to. So it seems like it's working alright. Alright, let me uncloak, switch cameras. Why, hello everyone. Got some fireworks going here. If I say W, it's from that same thing. If I get off sync, instead of typing W to move forward slightly, I put it into the say chat. So, you ever see me doing that at a live event, it's because I got off sync on my 4-button combo. I suppose I could just script it some year, but what's the fun in that? So, what are your weekend plans for Locho, if you happen to have some? How have you been doing on the raid? That's another thing I'd like to know more about. I am planning to do... Well, I was actually thinking of really to do the raid stream for a couple of weeks, is really what my plan was. My thought would be that for this first one in a couple of weeks, because I think next Friday I'm going to kind of take it easy. And do part 2 of my delving series that I've been doing for Corsairs of Umbar, because I just got other things I want to do that Friday, and what have you. And I'm not quite ready to organize the raid group. But what I thought I might do is do 2 weeks of it. First week would be Raid Pug, and pickup group, what I mean by Pug. And just sort of be on Landroval and put up, you know, just be joinable and just see who all wants to join and just have an hour exploring the raid for both the new player and people who just want to hang out. The goal would not be to win. If we win, great. But the goal would be to just sort of bum around the raid, have fun, try out a few things, let people be comfortable not knowing what the heck they're doing, and just sort of roll with it that first week. And then the next week, my intention would be to organize a group that we can actually sort of roll through the raid and succeed on it. You know, be a little more like, okay, no, but for realsies, the second week. That's my thinking on the raid stream, is really do a 2-week raid, one just kind of casual hangout, one a little more sirs. But then again, I've also, you know, seen some videos on the raid and been in there myself a little bit, although I've not run it on the live worlds with the full group yet. It looks like people are generally just beating the raid okay. Hey, how are things going for you? I'm going to try this.
Your doom is upon you. Your judgment is at hand.
Yeah, so I was a little worried about this effect in particular. Sort of pulling effect that this boss does. Might not be able to spawn this up.
It's over, fool. Doom comes for you. Your doom is upon you. Your doom is at hand.
Arena's the nightmare for you, huh? And so the one I've been struggling with is the final boss on Island. I mean, we saw that a few weeks ago. When I tried to do it on the live stream and kind of got my butt handed to me. So,
I also have some trouble with that crocodile as well. But specifically, I've had difficulty with the final snack boss. And, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about that one in terms of succeeding on stream. So that's the one that's been getting me. Not so much Arena, but the Isle. I find the Isle to be the difficult one. I like the instance a lot. Yeah, I suppose as a group, none of them are going to be dramatically challenging. Although, they go up to tier 5. Yeah, that War Tyrant's doing pretty good. Wow, they just took care of that. Alright. I mean, this Balrog is pretty much the clear winner in terms of cool thing to spawn. Although, I agree, a dragon would be a good one in the future, if I could find one. Will this stream be on YouTube? Yeah, it'll probably be one of the least watched YouTubes afterwards, but it'll get on YouTube. People on YouTube tend not to be interested in sitting through 3 hours of me visiting the game worlds, but it'll be there. That's going to take one long video to process, though. I wouldn't expect to see that until, gosh, maybe even Sunday. Wow, look at that. I think I wiped them again. Alright, well, the turntables have turntabled. I guess I actually do have something I can spawn that'll take people out. Is now the second server that is struggled under the might of that Balrog at level 150. But that's kind of cool, isn't it? Big group like that. If I cost someone their Undying title, I deeply apologize. They ain't getting you back. That is not, Not something CS can assist with, I apologize. I bet there is some kind of dragonling or something that I would be able to spawn. I'll have to talk with the team and see if we can figure out something that'll be cool to fit the dragon thing. But Rimmel isn't really going to work. So if my calculation is correct, I'm at about 13 minutes or so here. Time goes by pretty quick, so maybe what I should do is another set of loot and then head to the next world. They really not take out all these trees? Right, I may have to smite them. Schmoten. Causing a few problems here. Maybe I better smite this thing too. Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what happened. That pause was probably related to the layering system going, oh god, what are you doing? Why? Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you like this? It's like Captain James T. Kirk in Wrath of Khan, except instead of Khan, it's Cordovan. So it's like, the server's like, Cordovan, why? What are you doing? This is not approved. Except it is. Alright. I think I need to call it, though, so I can move to the other world. Alright. Hey, El Gladden. I saw you on the world there.
So that would put... No, I have not gotten to Gwaihir yet. Should be pretty soon, I would think. So I just wrapped up on Crickhollow. And so after the letter C would be D, E, F, G. Gwaihir is next. No, Gladden is next. I can spell with the letters. Gladden is next, and then Gwaihir. Oh, you're right. Except there's another letter that comes even before G, and that would be E for Evernight. See, we're learning things today. This is an educational program. Evernight seems calm right now. Well, we can do something about that.
Our worst
Is being able to spell a minimum job requirement? No. My client got a little wonky there. Let me try that again. Okay, for some reason, I'm having a little trouble with my game client. But that just means I'll have to chat for a couple minutes while I get it set up to the proper resolution. All this logging in and out is not causing me, it's causing me some grief. Also, my audio is hot. There we go. I'm not quite sure what reset my options here, but something did. Okay, I think that should be good. Yeah, so so all this swapping in and out at some point down, when you do that too quickly, I think I just caused a little problem. Go to Villia, and then you miss your OG server. That was my OG server too. I played on Villia originally back in the day. All right. Also, I need to persist my audio. You're multi-boxing, it frequently resets the settings. Okay. So I do not typically have this issue a whole lot, but I guess it doesn't surprise me too much that if I'm logging in and out frequently and quickly on my admin character in particular, that it might cause a few issues. Trying to snapshot from a busy instance like that. I know that in theory we have a plan to bring back character transfers from the long-closed game worlds, but I'm not actually sure what the likelihood of it happening anytime soon is. I think the answer is it might be... We'll see. We'll see what we can do. What essentially needs to happen is the old closed servers need to be upgraded in order to bring them to the same server tech that we're using on our existing game worlds. And then we need to do work to enable transfers between the two. And then it's got to get checked out and approved and do everything that needs to happen with it. And it's a pretty big project for... It would certainly benefit people who have left characters on there and are sad about that. But overall, the scope of work is big enough that it's not something that is likely to happen anytime too soon. And maybe never. How many... I can't get into employee numbers at Lotro. Or SSG. So sorry. The answer is some. You know, game development is interesting too. Your question is specifically how many coders work on Lotro. But a lot of developers aren't necessarily, in a classical sense, doing a lot of code work. They're using various tool sets. Like, you're not really coding necessarily in Unity, although I suppose you are, kind of. But they're like these game engines, right? And we have our own, like, world-building tool sets and things like that that we've talked about. And you've seen a little bit on, like, say, Casual Stroll with Scenarios. Speaking of which, we were going to do a Casual Stroll this week, but just some issues came up in regards to the readiness of the stuff we wanted to show. So instead, we're moving our Casual Stroll with Scenario to next Wednesday. So this upcoming Wednesday, we're going to do an Update 40 preview on Casual Stroll with Scenario. It's going to be at a different time than usual due to meeting requirements also happening that day. So Scenario will be on at noon Eastern next Wednesday on Lotro Stream to do an Update 40 landscaping preview. That should be pretty cool. I think the layering is causing me a few problems on Evernight. I'm not seeing as many people in the lair as I would expect. Sadly. So let me lower the threat just a little bit. Yeah, there are lots of aspects of Locher that are in just straight up C++. But like, say for example, our world building tool. Can't have someone running amok inside of the city. I mean, I can, but I probably shouldn't. I didn't boost up during the Spain for this one. People want more potato frames. Well, I can do that. Get up some potato frames. Could be we have Evernight set for a low... It looks like we have Evernight set for a somewhat lower layer limit. And it's probably due to the game performance reports and such that we've seen on Evernight over the years. So notice we have a somewhat fewer people in here than on some of the other worlds. I bet that was just a change as part of our effort to help improve game performance on Evernight, being, you know, one of the higher population worlds. Yeah, so it should be Gladden is next. Because G is after E, as we've learned today. It's always interesting to kind of see what gets taken and what gets left behind. When people have enough of an object, they're like, okay, I'll leave this for someone else. Also, I don't think I did the fireworks line. Or on Evernight. Let me do that. Alright. Should get some nice fireworks action going. And I've got some from last year, I think, here too, actually. These are the 16th anniversary ones. So the Cloak of the Misty Night, apparently, not super fun. I remember when people were pretty happy about that one, but apparently in terms of a live Game World drop, got left behind. Guess people already had enough of them. So if you aren't aware, you should check out the Update 40 release notes on Bullroarer. They're very early right now. We don't really have anything about the content really in it, but we got the PvMP siege engines, and I got to see that in action yesterday too, with people spawning catapults against keeps and things, and that's pretty cool. I'm digging what they got going on here, so should be pretty fun. But that got its preview on Bullroarer this week, and should be arriving with Update 40 here. So how cool is that? Well, that's true. The cloaks are unique. You can only take one. Well, that explains why. So. Whatever came of the panel at PAX East on the DDO side with No Bob, I believe he mentioned he was going to write a blog or so about actually designing the instance space that we came up with during the panel. What we did for that over on the DDO stream side and on our YouTube channel is we actually built that dungeon over a series of live streams. So if you want to see, even though it's DDO rather than Lotro, the tool is very similar. And you can see the world builder in action over on the DDO YouTube channel. Look for The Joy of Deving with Bob Hess, if you want to kind of see how that sort of dungeon creation space gets made. And there's a lot of overlap with Lotro, too, in terms of instance space creation. Is it possible to buy a Samwise Attendant? No. This was given out with a cross promo we did with Magic the Gathering Online last June, July-ish. And it is being added this year to the community loot list as of the anniversary. So you'll be able to get it for anniversary visits, extra life donations. I could give away a few as codes and things. I mean, you know, the same way the regular university or community loot list gets distributed today. We're also going to be bringing back for Extra Life this year, I believe, a couple of titles that have been absent for some time, that last debuted in 2014. I believe that's, what, the Celebratory and the Wise? So should have another year of Extra Life stuff with a few, not completely new goodies, but new to the list goodies that I expect to be pretty popular. I don't know what the timeline for release of the fourth profession is. Next time we have Ryan on, either filling in for me or just on the show in general. That's a good question to ask. He had talked about that during one of his recent sit-down chats, either with Bloodborne or that Friday's live stream, and I can't remember what he said about the state of the fourth profession, but I believe it was don't know yet, other priorities, you know, taking that time at the moment. So I don't know the time for that. But it's not gone or anything. Plan is still later this year, as I understand. And in terms of what that means, I don't know. Is the Sleeping Gray Cat Miss Elizabeth Bennet approved? Yes. Although she's not real cool about another cat in general. So. Alright, so I think I've done the 15-ish here on Evernight, right? It's been about 15 minutes. I wasn't 100% paying attention to the clock, but I think it was about 40 some after. So let me maybe drop just a few more things. And then call it a server. Move on to Gladden. I think I'm probably gonna just stretch real quick and take a breather for a few minutes before I head to Gladden. About once an hour I like to get up and stretch my knee and what have you. Alright, let me try this again. What? Okay. At 140, we're looking at about 18. Alright. Because I did 140 instead of 150. Try to not wipe the server. Will there be more items like Samwise in the future added to the game? Well, Samwise is a property guard, so we have a bunch of different kinds of property guards in the game already, but that one came about really as part of a cross-promotion we did last year with Magic the Gathering Online. So it wants me to fix a gem. I don't know how to fix the gem, but I will see if I can pass that info along. All right, I'm going to take a couple-minute break. I'll be back in just a little bit, and we'll be heading to Gladden at that point. So back in just a couple minutes. Alright, welcome back everyone. Hello, welcome to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. We're celebrating our 17th anniversary of the Lord of the Rings Online. And I'm heading to the various game worlds, spending about 15 minutes on each world, just going a little nuts and having some fun with whoever might be around, generally outside of the Westgate and Bree, dropping some items, doing some monster spawns and what have you. Quick reminder that our anniversary event continues through May 5th. That debuted yesterday. And next week, Tier 5 of Depths of Makta Corbo gets released. And the leading the charge is through first week in June, something like that. Alright, I am now on Gladden. Up my run speed. Rank. Looks like we got people kind of loading it. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. That's the people loading in. Let me start by dropping those fireworks is a decent enough way to start because it gives people a chance to just kind of interact with something while I get things ready. So, let's do that. It's, well, once word starts spreading that, hey, like through Discords and that, hey, I'm going through the servers and Gladden's next, for example, people log in and be ready. So that's what we just saw here. I remember, this is, I'm in year 13 of working here for then Turbine, now Standing Stone Games. And as a result, I have tried a bunch of different ways to do this kind of, hey, let's just sort of show up on a live game world and hang out. I've tried, like, pre-announcing it, trying to get a bunch of people there. I've tried the opposite, which is just sort of show up randomly and make people work for it. And a whole bunch of different ways to kind of make this happen. And I find that so far, I find that this is probably the best way to do it, which is unannounced, alphabetical, relatively short duration, so that I don't tank the game world. But there we go. All right. Not that I've ever killed a... Well, I don't think I've ever actually killed a server doing this. I've probably caused some distress. But, I don't think I've ever actually killed a world. There were a few times on the other game side where I accidentally spawned something that didn't disappear. And so it stuck around until the next Wednesday restart. But thankfully, I don't think I've done that on the Lotro side. You want us to make a Lord of the Rings 2, Canestless. I mean, that would be fun. Be a big project. It'd be a lot. Think about being around 17 years is trying to develop to that scope is a lot. So any kind of new game that would come out that wants to be the size of Lotra is going to have a lot of work ahead of it. Including us, were we to ever do a sequel. Can I drop the spotted corgi? Why, I sure can. Let me take care of my bassoons here first. Yeah, Gwahir should be next afterwards. Do SSG employees get to work from home? Yes, almost all of us. There are a few people who, for various reasons related to what they're doing, do in fact have to be in the office sometimes. But otherwise, for the most part, we get to work from home and have since COVID. I have been to the office just a couple of times, really in the past couple of years, and it's almost exclusively been to pick up and or drop off swag for PAX East and stuff. Maybe I'm flying out to California. But for the most part, we all work from home. What about the lag, dude? Are you working on to get the removing the lagging? Yes. We are working on to get the removing the lagging this week on Bullroarer, among other things. One of the reasons we had our test last evening on Bullroarer was to check out a few things that we are hopeful will make some difference. As you know, I've said myself personally probably 100 times, there will never be a singular cause of lag. Thus, there will never be a singular fix that solves all lag in game. That said, we are hopeful that some of the changes seen on Bullroarer this week that are coming, if everything works out, to update 40, will make some difference. And it's largely a technical details issue, but what we're going to be doing is taking some of the larger resource areas that tend to be a little bit troublesome, like Minas Tirith and the Etenmoors, and put them in their own kind of server space. I don't think it's like necessarily a physical server, it's more of a whatever. Allocate. No, you don't get to share. You don't know how to share, so you don't get to. That's essentially what we're doing. And we checked yesterday on Bullroarer and this week with the Bullroarer to see what kind of impact it's had and what kind of improvement it might make. And I can't tell you what the answer to that is yet, because that's the point of last night's work. And the people who need to analyze it have not yet completed their work. So. Will SSG be at PAX West? I don't think so. I don't think we'll be at PAX West this year. I'm sure we'll be coming back at some point, but not this year. Do overlapping textures have something to do with it? I've noticed some of that. I'm not an expert, but in general, overlapping textures is more likely to cause what's called Z-fighting. That's that kind of flashy line stuff that you'll see sometimes, than it is a performance issue. It's true, it actually has not been 17 years yet. We have 5 more days, because the game actually launched on April 24th. This is true. All of this is true. Technically, next Wednesday is our 17th anniversary. But the anniversary event kicked off on Thursday, along with the anniversary hype, and these anniversary gifts and double bonus points and things like that. So we're calling it now. Even if technically it's next Wednesday. Alright, let's try the Balrog here. Where can you get one of the SSG shirts? Sadly, you can't. Maybe at some point in the future we'll be able to offer SSG shirts. I wonder how many of them we'd sell. It's true, someone is pointing out that it's a little framey right now. Well, yes. The game is not technically designed to support what I'm doing right now. It's like, what? No, no. Gonna do it anyway. Why? Why would you do that? For the lulz is the answer. Someone is just like following me around and hitting me with snowballs, but that's fine. I don't care. Yeah, thank you so much, DRR Macintosh, for stopping by the stream. I really appreciate it. Are there any chance for US to European server transfers at some point? No, that is unlikely. For the newer legendary worlds, we have them set up in such a way that you can travel from a legendary world to either a US or European server without issue. And then once you're there, you get locked into the US or EU server infrastructure. But once you're locked into that world, it's not really something that we have the ability to adjust in terms of allowing you to transfer location. And the reasoning for that really goes back a pretty long ways to back when the game was run in Europe by a different company with its own different server infrastructure. And due to some of the decision making that
took place at that time, there are certain things that were put in place then for those characters that make them incompatible with an EU to US server transfer and vice versa. So what that means is those old Codemasters servers and characters are in a different state than the ones in the US world. Not a state that's visible to the general public, but behind the scenes there's some pretty significant challenges. It simply will cause problems and errors if we try to force them to do what they are not meant to do. So sadly, there's kind of a long-standing issue with being able to offer US to EU server transfers. Noble Eagle Kite as a future community drop. I will have to look into that. I don't really remember the history of the Noble Eagle Kite enough to tell you where that came from, but it's possible I could add something like that. I'm sorry, Mimo Subs, I'm not understanding your question to me about what I would do if someone said okay or something like that. I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. Perhaps re-ask the question and I can answer you. How much longer on the current reward track? How much longer is them? 25 days, 19 hours. Oh, the Mordor X pack? I think that there's an interest in taking the pieces that are most valuable from that old Mordor X pack and making them available through other methods in the future. So I would expect to see us do something like that. Alright, I'm spawning a few more items here, and then I am going to head to the next world of Aguai here. I have a few minutes yet here on Gladden. Go. I haven't distributed the cloak here, so let me do that. And let me do one more line of fireworks here for everyone. All right. All right. So let's let me head back to camera and switch servers. Will the Rust Corgi make Extra Life this year? I don't think so. The Corgis that you can get in-game, for the most part, are intended to not be added to the community loot list. I got the Anniversary Celebration Corgi and the Spotted Corgi. And I think those are the two Corgis I got on the list. So yes, Gladden will be next. So Eric of Wildwood raises a question or a concern, which is, well, if we include, say, goodies with the expansions and then later put them in the store for points or something like that, well, isn't that going to mean people who buy them might feel kind of burned and instead want to wait and just get it in the store? The answer is, you raise a good point. So historically what we've done is, if we bring it back, like if we were to bring back the Mordor goodies that are not otherwise available, it would be because they're not otherwise available and enough time has gone by that demand is high enough for us to bring it back, that is a bigger concern than the feeling of, well, I bought the expansion, so they shouldn't get to have it, kind of a thing. So you're right, and the question is one of timing historically. That's what you do to deal with that. Why did the Lotro lottery get shut down? Could it ever come back? It was a fun way to win cool awards. So back in the day, I was the person who mostly ran the Lotro and DDO lotteries. Sapience was the community manager at that time and originally did some work related to the lotteries. But within about a year or so of their debut, it was shuffled off to the lowest person in the organization working on the community team at the time, which was this guy. And I ended up, that was being one of my tasks, is to do the coupon or the lotteries every week. And the answer as to what happened to it was that it depended on the infrastructure that brought about the Lotro Compendium and the my.lotro tech. And so when the my.lotro tech ended up being really outdated and not something that we wanted to do anything with, you know, it needed to go, it took the lottery tech with it. So because of the loss of the my.lotro infrastructure, we could no longer offer the lotteries. To do a lottery like that in the future, there are other tools that exist and other things that we could do to make it work. But instead, we've opted to spend those resources in other ways. So we, I guess it's been a couple of years since we gave away the anniversary celebration corgi as part of a social media thing. But the tech that powered that is something that, in theory, we could use for future giveaways. We haven't really opted to utilize it like that, however. But I've had it as a to-do list for, well, what, really a year or so now, to bring back the Lotro Beacon, which was the weekly newsletter. And I'd like to do some kind of, we'll do a giveaway from that. The MyLotro system itself was shut down because it had a bunch of problems with it, really. It, technological issues that it didn't scale very well. It had some... It was difficult to manage, difficult to maintain. And ultimately, when we moved away and... I don't even know what year that was now. 2015? 2016? We deprecated the Compendium, MyLotro, and lotteries. That was the end of that. It was a pretty neat system. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was pretty cool. It was onerous. It was a lot of work to maintain, which is why ultimately it was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. All right, fine. We'll make Cordovan do it. And then I just ran it for both games. Let's see. You just noticed the Tron light cycle back there. Yes, I am a Tron nerd. Always have been. And I don't even, like, I love the first Tron movie. I love the original Tron movie. Is it a good movie? Well, define good, right? Sure, the plot may have some issues, and the acting may not always be the greatest, but still, it's one of my favorites. And I love Tron Legacy. I know a lot of people are pretty meh. Like, it wasn't a huge commercial success for Disney or anything, and what have you, but it's one of my all-time favorite movies, is Tron Legacy. I saw it probably 6 or 7 times, something like that, in the movie theater back in the day. I still think it was the coolest 3D movie I've ever seen. I dig it. So I have a bunch of kind of Tron-related collectibles I'm not like I don't have like a room or anything. You know, I'm not that much of a Tron fan. But I'm enough of a Tron fan that I've got as much as I can. I've come across them. I save it. It's fun. I kind of wish I'd actually purchased more back in the day when it first came out. They were all on the store shelves of Walmart and Target, and then went to clearance. I kind of wish I'd picked up a little more at that time. If I'd known how much I would like it afterwards, I probably would have picked up a few more toys. And yes, the soundtracks of movies are really important to me. When I look at what a lot of my favorite movies have in common, it's often they've got a very, like a soundtrack that is very specific to that time and place and movie. The soundtrack makes the movie in some ways. And Tron has got one of the best, and I love the set design of it as well. It's just incredible. I liked Blade Runner a lot too, but I thought Tron was just more fun. I have a lot of soundtracks on CD and vinyl. I didn't really recognize it when I was younger, but at some point, I guess in my 30s, I realized you love movie soundtracks and game soundtracks and things like that. The kind of soundtrack aesthetic is just something I really get into. And so I've got a ton of just like movie soundtracks that I listen to. How about a coffee bar, bistro table chairs, and French press housing items, and a coffee mug cosmetic? That would kind of add a lot to the vibe you're looking for in your house. Well, we do, yes. I would like to see that too. I'm down. I would need to double check to see what the license restrictions on coffee might be. But assuming that there is coffee, or coffee would be okay under the license, then I am down for having not just, say, ale bars, kegs, but also having coffee and things like that. And a French press, I mean, a French press might be a little stretching it a bit, but at the very least, a pot that you would brew coffee in, some kind of bubbler, makes a ton of sense. So, I am down. I am supportive. I like this idea. Alright, let's see how they do against the Bullroarer. I'm on Gwei here. A sip tea emote would be the best. Yeah, especially in our TikTok era, right? The whole spillin' tea and let's hear the tea. That seems to be a thing that the kids are saying. You know, the 30-year-old kids are saying. And, it works. So having tea sipping emote. Yes. Yes. We have coffee in game. Good. That should be fine then. Yeah, so I hear that there's a new Tron movie coming out, actually. I don't know what to think of it.
I wasn't sure what to think about Legacy when that came out. I was like, really? You're really gonna make a Tron sequel that isn't gonna suck? Turns out they did, though. That's the thing. Worked out really well there. So, I guess even though my gut is like, are you really gonna make a third one that doesn't suck? Track record's pretty good, so I guess I'll just sort of shut my mouth and enjoy it. Or not, depending on how it turns out. I actually always kind of, like, I guess I'm spoiling a 14-year-old movie now, but I always really liked at the end of Tron Legacy how Cora was in the real world. And I loved the idea of exploring that side of the world of what if someone from the grid was in real life, and then have another crossover or something for the threequel. But my understanding is, you know, they're going a different direction and said it's going to be more about the villains or something like that. And that's cool too, I suppose. Like I say, I'm just going to not prejudge whatever the next Tron thing is and just roll with that. Okay, I don't know if I can do emotes, but I can do more stuff. I have requests for portrait frames and cats and property guards and all that. So let me be a little more generous here on Guayir. Properly swagify up, people. Tolkien talk has enriched your life. Okay. I have to admit, I don't think I know. I have not been to a lot of Tolkien talk. I use TikTok, just like everyone else does. I guess I'll have to explore the Tolkien side of it a little more. I would actually expect at some point, I know it's a little, like, there might be some kind of grumpy old madness going on with this, but, I I would actually expect to see Lotro on TikTok here at some point. I mean, there are other places that I think are probably just as important, if not more so, that we should be on. AK, normally, like Discord and Instagram, probably among the two of the bigger ones. But, yeah. I would expect to see us there sometime. At some point we'll do it, because I want to go more into vertical video. Do horizontal and vertical, and start getting some of this stuff up on the more modern video outlets here. It's just that turns out running Discord, Instagram, TikTok for both games, bringing back the weekly newsletter and all that takes time. And there's only so many hours in a week for me. So, trying to drop all that on my plate is more aspirational than practical. But, I'm gonna see what I can do. At least get some of that back. Can we have tacos in the next expansion? Tolkien should have traveled to Mexico. He missed it. I agree. Yes, the Tron arcade games are excellent. And most of the Tron video games have been better than not. Alright, my time on Gwai here is at an end. How many swap servers? I'm sticking to my plan pretty good. I don't think we're actually going to make all the worlds in time. But we'll get through as many of this as we can. Might get to meet KB at the musical this summer. I don't know who KB is, sorry. The Fallout series was good. I've been watching it. I've been watching it myself. I'm only a few episodes in. But it seems definitely better than I thought the Fallout TV show was going to be. Not like I had much in the way of expectation, but... Anyway, to your question about can we have tacos in the next expansion, the answer is no. To the question of should we have tacos in the next expansion, the answer is, oh yeah, absolutely. But tacos in Lotro, I don't know. HIGABCDEFGHIJKL. Hi, Landroval. You're next. Yeah, I am expecting Landroval to be a busy place. It's true, I went alphabetically and already did visit Arkenstone. Popular / unpopular opinion, Bim Scala, is I liked Rings of Power. I recognize what people are saying about some of the decisions that were made and all that, but I just enjoyed it. I wasn't too analytical about whether I was supposed to like it or not, and I just sort of liked it. So I just sort of watched it, and occasionally was surprised, and occasionally was like, what, really? And then, but for the most part, I was real happy with it. So I thought Rings of Power was real good. Even the parts I didn't like, I thought were okay for the most part.
I thought the creation of Mount Doom, without spoiling anything, I thought the creation of Mount Doom was among the most ridiculous things I'd ever seen on television for quite some time. That said, I also thought it was pretty fun. Also, I saw it coming. From the first time I saw that machinery in action, I was like, no. They're not gonna, like, actually be, like, some kind of big bunch of tunnels that are gonna do a thing, and then... You are, huh? Okay. I'm not really a big fan of the Conan the Barbarian books, although I know it's got lots of fans. I love the original 80s Conan as well, and I think you're right. I think it's a pretty good comparison, whereas if you really try to compare it to the lore of the book series, how does the Conan movie stand up? Well, maybe not so great. But in terms of, did you have a lot of fun with it, either now or back in the day, the answer is, oh yeah. And I really liked the portrayal of Galadriel in Rings of Power, and I know that that can be a somewhat controversial opinion to state, but, oh, okay. I thought the actor did an excellent job portraying a young, relatively nuanced Galadriel. And even if some liberties were taken, both emotionally and story-wise, I guess I could just sort of deal with it. Didn't really bother me. Also, it's just got that evil movie villain thing. It's like, well, if you really have a plan to take over the world, why does it involve 17 steps and a bunch of things having to happen in a very specific order that is totally unlikely to just be randomly happening? So you have to do this gigantic multi-process thing in order to make the random event happen that's going to cause the thing you wanted to have happen in the first place. Why didn't you just do it different so that, you know, rather than require that a dog be walking by the street in order for the bomb to go off, you just sort of set off the bomb, you know? That's kind of what I mean. Oh, sorry, I have not changed scenes. I am so sorry. If you're sending me a Tell in-game, I'm not going to see it. I apologize. There's no way I can see tells being sent to me right now inside of the game. There's too much scrolling by. Today is not the actual anniversary date, Aframan Hamro. That is actually next Wednesday, the 24th. But I do my weekly live stream on Friday. The anniversary event itself began yesterday. Our anniversary patch happened on Wednesday. Our double bonus point sale is happening this week, and we even have a free coupon on the mix here. So that's why it's today, rather than some other time. But you're right. Technically, it's next Wednesday. It is a good time to come back. Make sure to log in, get your gift. Also, Landroval is really slideshowy here because of the population. how well this is going to work. You got a lot of people on Landroval right now. You just picked up River Hobbit. Excellent. I love my River Hobbit. River Hobbits turned out fantastic. It is a very nice crowd on Landroval. Perhaps a little too big, however. I'm a little worried that we're going to be kind of tanking the server here in a second when I spawn some mobs. Moobot in our Twitch chat is mentioning that we have the Update 38 Corsairs of Humbar official game soundtrack on our YouTube channel. I would mention that I just received word this week from Bill Champagne that Update 39 is pretty close to being ready to go, so I need to do some work to turn it into kind of video files, get it all, the track listing, track notes done, and do a little bit of work there. But I would expect to see the Update 39 soundtrack on YouTube here not too long from now. Ooh, this monster spawn is going to be rough. We have a few too many people in World. I'm not actually sure this is going to be successful. But I will just roll with it anyway. It's pretty slideshowy once it gets time to bring out a Bullroarer, though. So the thing with Arkenstone is Arkenstone happened before the ball got rolling on this, because that was the first world I visited. So that's what I mean about I need to be both public about it and a little bit stealthy about it, because things can go pretty bad pretty quick with a lot of people. But we're just gonna have fun with it, even if it is a little slideshowy, and you know, it just sort of is what it is. So. Are they getting drops for this? And for the most part, no, but I do think the Balrogs give a little bit of something. Some kind of, what, check something off the deed completion box, but for the most part, this is all pretty harmless. Unless you don't have your... Oh no! Just chasing after that dude, isn't it? Wonder if I need to... Someone pulled a bunch of aggro. We smite it. Got killed by a Balrog West pre-2024. Are you getting quest drops? I mean, I don't care. It's fine. Unless I'm supposed to care. In which case, oh man. I'll have to do something about that after 13 years.
I'm just doing a few more drops rather than monsters, because it just isn't really working to drop too many mobs around here. Causing a few too many issues, sadly. But I can always give people stuff. Now I can see that I have to do something against the lags. Well, I appreciate the sentiment, I think. But I would say that there was no unawareness of the situation prior. Nor is the current situation an example of. What the lag in this space means is maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Not that the game has got a specific issue. It was never built to handle what we are doing right now. As a matter of fact, I think I'm tanking Thelanis, so let me call it. Cutting Thelanis just a little short here, I think, but I don't want to wreck everyone's game experience too badly. And we do have other servers to get to, so there we go. All right. Oh, did I say Thelanis? I meant Landroval. Yeah, it's because I was thinking about the stream I've got on the DDO side in an hour. That's why I got it mixed up. Alright, well, we are at 308, and I'm not going to hit all these worlds yet, but I should be able to get another 2, I think, done here before I have to go. So where does that put us? We have Treebeard yet. And Suriname, right? Yep, Treebeard and Suriname. Alright, we should be able to make this happen then. And Suriname is next. Oh, Laurelin. Wait a second, didn't I do Laurelin? Landroval? No, I have not done Laurelin. Okay, so Laurelin is next. Yeah. And also, maybe we won't... I'll have to pop back at least Treebeard, I think. I'm not going to have time for. But we'll see. Laurelin. There we are. Alright. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes here. With more of the live stream. We're going to be heading into Laurelin here in just a second. Back in a couple.
Alright, welcome back to our final probably half hour or so of this anniversary live stream. For the worlds I don't get to by the end of the show, because I do have to go here at about 3:45 to get ready for a different live stream I have going on. I'll come back afterwards, so this evening, and I'll take care of the final worlds that what ought need to be visited. But we are on Laurelin right now, and let me uncloak so people can see me. And so I actually just now, when I logged in, I was still in that homestead, and I didn't see people there. Someone in chat is saying that the party is happening right now at that home on Laurelin. It was supposed to be at noon server time, which would be noon Eastern, but it looks like it's just getting going kind of now on the game world. So if you happen to be on Laurelin after I'm done here in the next 15 minutes, head on over to Bilford, the Breland Homesteads, to High Road, and there's some kind of concert thing happening here as well. I was going to maybe start the show by being there, but it ended up being that by the time I got on, no one was really hanging out, as you saw at the very start of the stream here, all the way back at noon today. So sorry for missing that show. I was thinking about it. And I'll endeavor to cover some more events here in the future. You could be correct, New Gardemir, that I would need to check with someone in technical operations to see if this specific location being on the border of Breland and Breetown is a bad idea. Perhaps I should move it. Like I say, I've just been doing this for quite a few years, and I tend to find that this is a fairly easy location to get to. So when people start piling in, it's relatively easy to do. It's out of the way enough, but yet public enough that people can kind of see it. There's no perfect solution I've found in terms of surprise visiting servers and all that. And not surprise visiting servers is also just as bad because, as we saw on Landroval, it can actually be a problem to have that many people waiting for you to try to spawn in. So what I found works best, and it's designed really to not make everyone happy, is be there, show up, have fun, roll with it, do it again next year, and if you can make it, great. If you can't, well, sorry. The process of actually being able to host an event that everybody, regardless of server and time zone and such, can participate in is not really the kind of thing one person can do on an admin character. That's kind of not the point. The anniversary event and, you know, in-game events and things that we have are designed more for that sort of activity. So you ask, you know, hey, if only a few people get to take part, is this worth it? Well, there have been years where I've asked that question, but for the most part, the response I get from the community is, oh gosh, yes. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks for this part and that part, but I'd rather you do it than not do it. And that's really basically where I fall on it as well, which is that, okay, so it's not ideal, it's not like designed perfect. It might cause a few problems, but it's worth it. Just all said and done. For the fun, for the experience, because why not, really?
ultimately, if I did really cause enough issues that someone was like, listen, you gotta stop doing this, I think that would kind of suck. I don't think we're there. And I guess I would have to if I had to. But there you go. Tomorrow I should do this again, but in the Yet Moors for Monster Players. I can't. I'm busy tomorrow. What am I doing tomorrow? Well, I am going to be starting the morning by going off to a record store, because it is record store day tomorrow. Maybe you don't care. But me as a vinyl nerd, I do. So first thing I'm doing tomorrow is hitting up record store day. Then I'm going to be helping someone actually move bed and dresser from one house to another. And that's going to involve something like a 30-foot U-Haul truck, because it's a big dresser and bed. And then at 3 p.m. I'm actually doing a podcast interview for the other game. One of the community podcasters there is having me and a developer on. It'll be their first time being there as well, being interviewed. And so that'll be happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. And I will be getting, you know, whatever 1 or 2 servers I have yet to get. I'll get that done tonight. But if for some reason something were to happen, that would be tomorrow night as well. I mean, I do have days off. I can't be on every day. But generally, there's a little bit of work that happens just about every weekend. Because at the very least, I'd like to, at least once a day, usually a couple times a day, just skim through the forums, make sure no one's spamming things up too bad. No one's trolling things up too bad. I sometimes have a little bit of kind of release note and other work to do for the week ahead. So there's usually a little bit of work that has to happen on weekends, but not too much. It's pretty chill. I can make it work. Thank you, Toadster, for the shout-out. Yeah, they're still working on this war tyrant, huh? I think they got him. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, Toadsters Raiders. Nice to see you. I would point out that this past Wednesday at noon Eastern, we had our very first stream by our newest Lotra streamer, that's Master of Dungeons, doing a new and returning player stream, and the quality of the show was excellent. Very first episode went great. Next week, we're going to preempt the show with our own casual stroll preview of Update 40, but Master of Dungeons will be on after Scenario's done. So that'll begin noon Eastern next Wednesday on Lotra Stream right here on Twitch with Scenario and then Master of Dungeons.
Alright, let me smite Durin there. Wow, that was pretty tricky. Alright, let me go through the list one more time, drop some more items for people. That Balrog has taken out a couple of servers. That'll be basically the third server that it took out. And also you can see at this point, things are starting to get kind of rough here. On Laurelin, I think I might need to head on out here before I cause too many more problems. I'm also going to be doing some work in the backyard this weekend, I think. If everything works out. I've got things to plant. That should be fun. When I moved into the house I live in, I guess it was a little over a decade ago, the previous owners had left in a pot some chive plants, just some like whatever chives, and they have gone really great. So for the last decade I have had basically as many free chives as I want, thanks to that in the backyard, and it's going great again this year. I also have wild spearmint that grows in my backyard, and that's a lot of fun too. You can cook with it, use it as a herb, use it as a flavoring, whatever you do with spearmint. Make Wrigley's gum out of it. But when I mow the lawn, you smell it when I actually hit part of the patch or whatever. So I'll be mowing the lawn, and all of a sudden it's like, why does it smell like Wrigley's gum in my yard? And it's because I hit the patch of fresh spearmint. All right. Well, let's see, what time did I start? So that'd be not quite 15 minutes here. Let me do one more Balrog for everyone. They seem to be like, yes, kill us again, so let's see this. You have a veggie and an herb garden in your backyard, 400 square feet. So I'm definitely not that motivated. Don't have the skills, time, or talent to really maintain a vegetable plot. But I love the idea. Conceptually, I would love to do that. in general, I'm lucky enough to plant things in pots and hope they grow. And sometimes they do. Get some fresh basil and things. For river hobbits to continue the quest past Book 2, Chapter 5, do you need to purchase the Before the Shadow pack? I can't remember what we stated in the release notes about that. I think the answer is no. No, the answer is yes. You do need to own Before the Shadow, I think, to get past a certain point of the Before the Shadow storyline. Now, however, the River Hobbit, all the free stuff that you get should lead you into the other branch of the epic story, should you wish to. This is the way I think we have it done. Alright, well, I think I should probably call that. I've got to get to my other server. Let me pop on over to what'll end up being the final server of this particular live stream. Looks like I'll have 2 servers to hit later on a little bit today. Didn't quite make it, but, you know, we've been going for about a little over 3 hours at this point, and that's how long it takes to get all 11 worlds, even at 15 minutes a pop. But I've got a stream I need to do at 4, so this will be the last game world on Lotra stream here today that I'm going to have for you. Druid's Fire is going to be on in a little bit after I'm done. And then I'll probably pop on after she's done sometime tonight. And take care of the rest. And so that means we have got... How many worlds do we got? We got Cyrenen, Treebeard... Yeah, Cern and Treebeard. Okay, so it looks like it'll be just... Treebeard? That I haven't gone to? So, I am going to Cyrenen. I think that's correct, right? I hope that's correct. Because that's where I'm going. So the problem with that plan, Druid's Fire, is it is not cat approved. And a certain kitty by the name of Miss Elizabeth Bennett is unhappy with me for not taking her outside to date today. And certainly by the time I'm done with my 4 o'clock live stream, it will have hit a crisis mode. Where it's like, no, for real human, what the heck? What is wrong with you? Why are you like this? Take me out right now. And so I would expect that when I get done with the live stream on the DDO side, I'm going to have to take a certain cat outside for a little bit. And then I haven't eaten yet today since breakfast. So I'll be doing that too. So it's going to be a little... I'll do it after your show. I just got too many other things to do. So... I mean, I can ask Lizzie whether she'd rather I sit here at the computer talking to the stick and my computer screen, or take her outside, but I think we all know the answer to that. Alright, so I am on Cyrenen. And how are we doing here? Oh, we got some peeps. Bonjour is welcome in French, right? Or no, that's good. Or is that goodbye? That's goodbye, isn't it? I better just wave, rather than try to say French. Bonjour is good day? Okay. Oops. The human is not humaning me right today. The human is supposed to take me out at least once. This is not happening. R4 is goodbye. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to... there's never a perfect time, but at least if I can get it done in the afternoon for the European worlds, I feel generally alright with it, because, you know, the people in Europe are... It depends on what time zone you're in, but generally somewhere in the range of about 6 hours ahead of server time, Eastern time zone. So, if it's 4 o'clock here, it'll be 10 o'clock there. So at 3:30, it's 9:30 at night, but 9:30 at night on a Friday is, you know, kind of prime time, really, for the European gamer population. Maybe even a little early, because us gamers tend to like to sometimes be a little late night. Or maybe that's just me. My town rolls up the streets pretty early. There's not much open past 10 o'clock where I live. Really past about 8 or 9. Except for the grocery store and the gas station. But I live in kind of a smaller Massachusetts town, rather than a big old city like Boston. I talked a little bit about this at the start of the show, but it seems appropriate to reiterate just how lucky I feel to be able to work on this game and work with you in the community and be a part of this, not just for a couple of years, but for a long time. I celebrated my 13th workiversary in November, last November, and it occurred to me that, you know, when I landed my dream job, and that's what this was when I got hired, it was like, oh my gosh, you saved my life, you gave me a purpose. I was not happy with the career I was in. Like, I enjoyed it for a while, but I was burned out by it and ready to move on. I'd worked in radio and news, the news biz, which people do not treat the news business in the United States even remotely acceptably. It's real bad. And, but when I got hired in 2010, I was like, I am the luckiest person in the world. This is a dream come true, and oh my gosh, if I can make this last for a couple of years, I will be just super happy. You know, when I got hired, I was like, well, I mean, it's video games, right? Video games don't last forever. And you're gonna have probably a couple of good years and then maybe a couple of not so good years after, and then it'll be done, right? Because that's really for the most part, the only history that people had at the time of these games releases. I mean, there was a few big hits back in the day. I mean, it wasn't that old. 2010 wasn't that long ago. But even so, and we'd had, you know, DDO had been out 4 years, Lotro 3 or whatever. But the idea of games like ours being persistent services that
could conceivably go for, let's just say, 15, 20. In the case of EverQuest here, 25. You know, that just conceptually was not really all that expected, you know? What are the odds? Not good. But turns out, the odds are actually pretty good, because I think we're part of a vanguard of studios and games that just kind of keep making things happen. And the reason we're able to keep making things happen is because there's enough people interested in supporting us financially to be able to keep developing and keep going beyond the typical lifetime of general video games to that point. I think it's really neat. I think it's really neat. I think we're super lucky. I think we live in amazing times. And I just think it's the best thing ever. So, and you're a big reason why that happens. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I do. I've managed to somehow make a radio voice work since I was a teenager. Since I was a wee lad. I got my first part-time radio gig at the age of 15. And I did that all the way up till mid-30s. And by that point, I was like, oh, wait a second. You mean people have jobs that they actually get treated decent? They actually get paid a living wage? Wait a second. What kind of job is this? You're not worried about losing your job every morning when you walk into the office? You do in radio? Not that I want to complain about radio careers, but if anyone's out there working radio, a lot of people don't understand just how crappy, how it is the best worst job. Alright, Cyrinin, let's see how you do. We don't, Orangi, also welcome to the channel. We don't have a Patron's Coffer available today for our 17th anniversary. We're not done, however, with supporter packs, patrons coffers, that kind of thing, and we'll have more information pretty soon about our next one. And there's some people who have already kind of sussed out a little bit about that, but based on Bullroarer this week. But we'll have more information about that pretty soon. Nothing I can say today. What about podcasts? Is that like radio? Well, you know, so yes, in some ways. That's part of why it's for the other game, right? But the reason my path to working here started over on the Dungeons & Dragons Online side. And I did a podcast about Dungeons & Dragons Online that proved pretty popular. And as a result, I was given this opportunity. And the reason I did the podcast thing is not just, it was really mostly about passion for the game and the technology and the medium. But, you know, I was a radio dude seeing the iPod come out and seeing podcasting take off. And in my mind, I was like, this is the future. Not that radio's dead exactly, but this is the future. And,
you know, the iPod, cell phones, and podcasts had a huge impact on the radio industry. The radio industry was already transitioning to, we don't need 4 DJs, we just need one, and they can track on over the computer and do 4 stations instead of 1. So we were already in that direction before the iPod and everything hit, but it accelerated it in such a big way that it is not an exaggeration to say that more than half of the radio gigs that existed in the year 2000 were gone by the year 2010. Those positions simply did not exist. Also, my game just crashed. And so for me, the idea of doing a podcast at that time was not just about passion and interest, but it was also about learning the skills for it so that I could potentially apply myself to the future at that time. Didn't turn out I needed to, but that's how it worked. Did I really crash the server? Good thing it's the last server of the show then. Oops. Trying to see what's up here. All right, well, I'm seeing people here. Good. I might have caused an alert or something, but I did not, in fact, crash the server. It might be veering a little bit, squealing the tires, but... Alright, well, while I'm here then, let me spawn a few more things for the fine folks. On Cyrenin. And apologize profusely for any deleterious effects I have had upon your game experience. Oops. Alright, well, I do need to head on out, because it is just a little bit before my next show. Alright, so that is going to do it with
Court of the Rings here on the 17th anniversary celebration. Next Wednesday is the actual anniversary on the 24th, so if you're playing the game this weekend, have some fun. We've got a whole bunch of new content and that came out in recent months to check out, and a whole bunch of information. You can find out more about the anniversary and our gifts and things on Lotra.com. So, I'll be back after Druid's Fire show tonight. I'll be doing an impromptu visit to Treebeard. We'll go for about 20 minutes or so here and hang out. Until then, the archive will get up on YouTube, and I'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.